Hello viewers, wherever you're watching us from, welcome to your weekly State of Affairs program here on QTV. We're broadcasting from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, just behind the QSN main building. I am Aliou Sise. And as usual, I'm joined in the studio by my amazing co-host, Sidi Sise. Sidi, good to have you.
Amazing.
Anywhere I go, people ask me, where is Sidi Sise? Where is Sidi Sise?
But anyway, my brother is here today, so.
Anyway, I'll introduce our guest later. But viewers, today we are looking at a very important sector, which is energy, electricity, and water, to be specific. I mean, we've seen in 2017, when there was that change of government, I mean, the government of Adama Barrow, I mean, promised to, do its best to ensure that, people have access to electricity. And it has already promised that by 2025, there will be a universal access to electricity. But hey, before then, people are still complaining that, the current state of electricity supply in this country is quite very poor, especially in the combos at this moment. And joining us this week to discuss this and other issues is the Managing Director of the National Water and Electricity Company, Nani Juara. Mr. Juara, good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Ali. Thanks for having me here.
Yes, you heard the NAWEC, which is responsible for the water and electricity supply in this country. Looking at the current state of NAWEC, how do you reflect on it?
Thank you. Ali, the current state, if you generalize it, I think we are doing fairly good. If you look at our operations in the rural areas today, we can say for certain that we are providing 24 hours electricity supply in the entire rural, communities. From North Bank to LRR to CRR to URR, as we speak, all of them are enjoying relatively 24 hours electricity supply. In that aspect, we are doing very well. When you come to the GBA, which covers the Greater Banjul area up all the way to West Coast, and now part of Kia, we have some few challenges, particularly that has to do with the generation. Of course, also with the transmission and distribution, we're still having some teething issues that we needed to fix to be able to provide the same service that we are providing to our rural communities. And the good news is we'll be there very soon as well, probably in the next couple of weeks. We are not talking about months now, as we are making very good progress in our effort to interconnect with the OMVG substation that is also currently being installed around Brikama, around one of our power stations around in Brikama. The substation is already ready, it's completed. We just doing the interconnection with NAWEC system. When this is done, well, we can pretty say that NAWEC will also sort the generation aspect of our operations within the GBA permanently.
You talk about, the current state of electricity supply in rural Gambia, that it is relatively good as we speak. How are you able to achieve this?
Well, you see, we are not operating in isolation. As a utility, we are a member of the West African Power Pool. And this is an organization that has been set up by the heads of states of West Africa, ECOWAS, to be more precise, to take care of the electricity business on behalf of the countries. And that is to allow all the utilities to come together, harness each other's potential, and be able to trade and facilitate trade in electricity between and among ourselves. So what we have achieved in the rural areas is a culmination of partnerships between OMVG and also Senelec of Senegal. This is a sister utility in Senegal. We are connected to in almost all the rural areas to Senelec's network. For the Soma and that's the North Bank and LR areas, we are connected to the OMVG substation in Soma. At the Basse end, for CRR and URR, we are connected at the Tambakunda interconnection point. But this is also coming from the OMVG substation that is in Tambakunda. So basically the power is coming from Senelec, but through partnership with the OMVG, and we are a member of the OMVG as a country. We are also contributing to the installation of the OMVG infrastructure, which is the transmission and also the substations. Yes, and we in Gambia, we are lucky to have 2 substations, and we have similar substations in Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, and also Guinea-Conakry. The objective is to facilitate trade, energy trade, among these 4 countries. And in a more broader sense, as a member of West African Power Pool, NAWEC and all the other utilities will also have the opportunity to trade with other West African countries. Because what WAP is trying to do is to interconnect all the isolated systems within the sub-region. And that is the OMVG network that is within Gambia, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, and Guinea-Conakry, to be interconnected with the CLSG line that is also running from Guinea-Conakry to Sierra Leone, to Liberia, to Ivory Coast, and Ghana. This will give us an opportunity to have that web of network within West Africa, so that wherever we can get energy cheaper, countries can source. Because the objective of all the utilities is to go for least cost. Wherever we can get this particular product and it is cheaper than what we provide or what we produce locally, obviously we'll go in for that. And that's the essence of all these things. So integration is not only about trading in only, what is called consumables in terms of goods and services only. Energy is also part of those goods and services. So we are not only going to talk about ECOWAS integration in the absence of energy integration as well. So
let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to these developments, I mean, the state of power supply in rural Gambia was
very
quite
erratic.
Very
Very
people
erratic.
were so mad about NAWEC.
Yeah.
What were the reasons?
Well, simple. It's our dependence on generators. For all our operations countrywide, we are totally dependent on heavy fuel powered gensets. And to be honest with you, Cisse, most of these generators, especially within the GBA, 40% of our installed generation capacity are very old generators. Probably older than, I don't know your age, but they are close to 30 plus years. I think you are, you know the famous generator number 6 at the Koto Power Station.
Very, very famous.
Very famous. You know what? It is still in operations. This generator was commissioned in 1990.
Wow.
Okay? And we are still operating and maintaining that genset, simply because we have not received the required investment in the sector to be able to decommission some of those generators. And that's the more reason why government, in collaboration with the other members of West Africa, particularly the 4 countries of the OMVG, decided to invest heavily into the OMVG, so that these countries can now harness each other's potential. Because, for example, Gambia, we don't have that resource that we could compete with other countries other than the sun that we have. But if you go to Senegal, for example, they have discoveries of gas, which we don't have for now. If you go to Guinea-Conakry, there is hydro, which Guinea-Bissau and Gambia doesn't have. So we are going to leverage on these potentials that are in these countries that are cheaper in terms of producing electricity. It is cheaper to use the hydro and gas than to use heavy fuel oil, which is very, very expensive. And under the current volatile global situation, for example, let's take an example of the war currently, the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Russia and Ukraine.
Or whether we call it Russia and
the rest of the West.
And the rest of the world,
West, yeah.
or the West, is going to have an impact on the oil price, because there's going to be a big jump. Currently, oil price has moved from 70 per barrel to $100 per barrel. And that will have an impact on our operations as well. So if we continue to depend on generators only to produce our energy, for Gambian people to say, fine, we have adequate power supply, but they're not only asking for adequate power supply, they're also asking for reliable and cheaper source of energy.
Well, thank you
promoting
very much, Mr.
city.
Jura. Yes.
So are you surprised to know that there's a generator that's serving since 1990?
I'm not surprised, and let me help you here, and Mr. Juara. You see, you hear people say, "Mandomi Baker." I'm a son of a farmer. I said to myself, I'm a son of an electricity worker.
Absolutely.
My dad was in GEC, before GEC to GEC to
From
MSD.
MSD to
Yeah.
UHC.
Yeah.
But he resigned when you sold it to MSG.
Yeah, that was
he did not agree for reason best known to him.
Absolutely.
I can remember that very well. So, good that, you've explained in detail some of the progress and development that are happening. There's one reason connecting to all these services. But let's look at the capacity, for example. I think now we have a very weaker capacity compared to our sub-region. Our high tensions, for example. I mean, you can have this electricity supply, but if the capacity is not there to supply it to the users, our homes, is a problem. So I want you to enlighten us, in terms of the capacity.
See, the first thing that we did in 2017 after change of government, when you if we work in a sector for a very long time, if you are a smart person, you should also learn some lessons. So when there was change of government, myself and my former managing director, Baba Fatajo, in 2017 and 2018, engaged the development partners to say we have been firefighting for far too long, and this cannot continue. We must have a clear pathway for the energy sector, and that means we have to develop a roadmap for the sector to define the short-term needs, medium-term needs, and the long-term needs, and also to look at our surrounding and see developments that are happening within our environment, and how we can also adjust to be at a par, or at least to be closer. So we have developed a roadmap in 2017, which was just for a medium term, between 2017 to 2025. And the objective was to actually critically diagnose our current situation, take care of the things that we can fix on an emergency basis to make power available for our people, and also to look at the medium term investment requirements for both generation, transmission, and distribution, and also look at the long term development plan to provide access for our people. So we have done this first step with the support of the Minister of Energy and all development partners, which was being spearheaded by the World Bank. We have developed this. When we developed the roadmap, what we did was to go and sell our plan, that package, to all the donors and said, this is what the energy sector want to achieve from now against 2025. We need funding for this, and this is how much we will require. And we have also developed we have created components of each of those investment requirements and sell it to these donors. So each donor came in, for example, the World Bank came in and said, fine, right now, you don't have enough generation capacity. All your gensets are old. There's frequent blackout. What we need to do first is to have an emergency intervention. Then we'll support you to fix some of your old generators, and we'll buy at least as a short-term measure, quickly, 2 new second-hand engines. Not second-hand cannot be new, but at least fairly in good operating order, condition, so that at least you can fix your immediate needs. This we have done. So from 2017, we have been struggling, but 2018, we were able to at least meet the demand at the time. And that was a quick fix that we did. Then the medium-term plans came in. One, we said, can we continue to operate only on heavy fuel oil engines? No. What are the other plans? The other options are to have solar also as part of our energy mix. Then the World Bank came in and said, we'll fund that component, and the EU also supported the idea. Then there was this co-funding that came from the EU and World Bank to fund a 20 megawatt solar plant for us, which will be located in Jambur. Then we have some of the medium-term intervention that requires the upgrading of the transmission line. Because if you look at the West African sub-region, most of them are operating at 225 kV. And whilst we are transmitting at 33 kV. This doesn't add up.
It does not.
Okay? So we look at that. And the idea was also sold out. Luckily, World Bank and the EU also bought the idea, plus EIB, and said, we are happy to come in and support. So this particular 225 kV line, as we speak, is already currently under construction. And what we did was to say, we want to also modernize a little bit. So we are going to have a new substation that is going to be in Jabang. It's currently under construction. And we'll have another substation that's going to be at the Kotu Tank, close to the Harafi Mosque, around Kololi. We are building a new substation there. And we are building the National Control Center, which is going to be at the Brikama Power Station, just not very far from the OMVG substation. This is going to be the National Control Center where all our generation systems, the transmission and everything will be in one.
So it
will be integrated.
Absolutely.
So you can now monitor all the power that is flowing from each of the power stations, at the same time also the power that is also flowing in each of the feeders. And you can have lesser people to maintain those facilities.
Quickly, you talk about all of these beautiful ideas and all the work that you've been doing. But if you look at the polling system of NAWEC and the way you run your cables, are you concerned? Because actually some of them looks very poorly done or poorly positioned or actually it's a matter of time for them to collapse. Like I said to you earlier, my father wasn't there. And I used to go out and I see what the work they're doing. Your boys are doing a fantastic job. But I think actually there's a lot that needs to be done as far as safety is concerned. Safety seems to be something that's missing.
You see, I'm not going to sit here and assume that we are perfect. I'm not going to do that. Because let's not be honest. We still have some room for improvement. We still have challenges when it comes to some safety concerns that equally that we have. We also have some concerns with the safety of some of our infrastructure. But some of the challenges that we have, Sidi, is that people have now encroached on our infrastructure. Some of the lines that you see in built-up areas, which are now seen to be very dangerous, is simply because when they were being constructed, at the time, we had no structures closer to them. And under normal circumstances, this electricity infrastructure shouldn't be very close to our settlements. True. It's very dangerous. But what we are now seeing happening, people will build story buildings very close to the transmission network. The only thing they'll come and tell us, when they cannot go even further, they will come and say, can you relocate your lines? Who was there before? We were there before them. Yeah. But they will now be asking now, where to relocate those lines? Where do we take them to? So that comes to the issue of planning. We need to plan for some of these things to happen, because the roads are all being encroached by stores. Equally, they are doing the same thing to our infrastructure. People are not even putting our poles inside their stores. You have never seen it?
I've seen
It's happening.
I've seen it in Brikama. I've seen it.
But I mean, so these are things that NAREC alone, we find it difficult to police. We need the support of everyone to make sure that those things don't happen. We will continue to sensitize the public about the dangers of, even building a store under a transmission line. If the line cuts off, what do you do? If the protection don't work.
We've seen that happen, Mr. Juara. We've seen similar things like that. Yeah. I give an example of Brikama Market. Yeah. The line, the road that goes by the area council from the market, right where the GRA is. A similar incident happened there. So these are things.
What happened?
When the fire happened.
They are sparking.
Yes.
Yeah, and because the subs are rightly on that transmission line. Is it right for that to happen, City?
It's not right. That's what I'm saying.
Is it direct making for that to happen? Because that's why we have authorities. That's why the local authorities have a responsibility to make sure they don't allow people, because they are already collecting taxes from those people for being under those. You know what happens, City? Even in Bundu, there was a time you hear this Bundu Bohol.
Yes.
We used to have a borehole in Bundu.
Yes, that's true.
That was producing water for the community.
Yeah, that's why it is called Bundumbo.
Yes. But what happened? People moved in and encroached on the borehole, took over the borehole, and we couldn't remove them from it. We did all efforts with the council, and that's why Bundu, for most time, they were not having water, and they were complaining in the past. Because that borehole was meant to provide water facility service for them, but they encroached on it, and then the borehole became contaminated. We had to abandon and completely move out.
No, but in this case now, who should be blamed? Is it NAWEC or the people who encroach on your facilities, or
the planning unit?
The planning unit. No. Who should be blamed here?
Simple. We are a utility provider. We have our services here, protected, and we see people coming closer to those facilities, supposedly to be on the councils, for example. But when we see those things, we don't only stop those people. We go to council and complain.
Okay.
In fact, we had a series of meetings with some of the councils. I have participated, but I was the commercial director, to make sure we warn them about the dangers of those things happening. But see, it's just unfortunate. And not only for the electricity, even for our water facilities.
I was going to come to that.
Okay, then we can come to that, City, and we'll talk about that. But we still have those challenges happening. To the extent now, if you remember, we still have some of these boreholes in Fajara, on Karaba Avenue here, Kanifing here. These places were not built up areas before when those boreholes were being dug, decades ago. But now, because it's now a settlement area, the boreholes are now no more what is called, you cannot guarantee in terms of their safety of these things. So because there's a lot of nitrogen content in some of them, we have to completely abandon them, because boreholes and residential areas cannot get closer. You have all these septic tanks around us. So you have these boreholes that are also so deep, and they're extracting large quantities of water. So eventually what happens is they become
But when you are getting this land to dig these boreholes, you must have a lease document for this.
Yeah.
You must have your
We do,
plan
but
and
you
all those
see the
things.
people shouldn't
And
come.
you-
Even
you-
there should be a buffer. There should be a buffer around this, not just the borehole area. They are not going into our fences to do this. But if you dig a septic tank closer to those boreholes, it's just a matter of time for those places to be for those boreholes to be contaminated. And that's why there was a time that there were some of the boreholes, about 3 or 4 boreholes, we have to completely decommission around Kanifing. And now, what is happening now, all the water that is coming now to this end has to come from the forest areas. We are moving into the forest, either around Sukuta, Yuna areas, Mariamakunda, all the way to Nyofele. Because in the absence of that, here, you cannot do that. Because you drill a borehole here, it will be contaminated.
I mean,
and that will not be within the
comment
coastal
here
area.
quickly
Yes.
before we move to water, Nani. These safety issues, let's look at fire outbreaks as well. It's unbelievable. Every day, somewhere in this country, fire would happen.
And many a times people will blame it on electric spark.
Yes, people say it's Nawek, it's not that. Great. I mean, not great. I mean, you are here to help us here. I mean, there are so many cowboy electricians in this country.
Not only cowboy electricians.
Criminals.
And there are so many junk materials coming into this country.
I want to come to that.
Yes, see, they say that.
They go out there and tell you this is a British standard wire. Guess what? It's a lie.
Yes. I was just watching something today. I asked if I knew you were going to ask this question.
Let me complete this.
Okay.
Let me complete this.
Okay.
What is happening? That we know that lives and properties are ruined on a daily basis in this country, and we still allow these terrible, terrible gadgets, the plugs, is unbelievable. The wires, the bulb, everything that they bring into this country for electricity is terrible. And you as the head of that institution, NAWEC, what advisory role do you play? Whether it's PURA or is a competitive committee or whatever, they're all supposed to be scrapped.
Well, see, maybe you can say that I cannot.
Okay, help us.
I am not a regulator. Okay, I am an operator.
The reason for saying that is that, all this thing is happening and nothing is being done.
And you get the blame.
No, we don't get the blame.
No, last week, the funny thing was last week I was driving by the Willingara Road. There's a petrol station before the Willingara police station.
Yeah.
2 compounds away, a story building catch fire. And no evacuation was available. They cannot evacuate anybody. That part of Willingara is called, I call it the melting pot of this country. There is no road, there is no emergency exit, there is nothing, nobody can be moved around, even the vehicles cannot divert. If the fire get to the station, the petrol station, we will all be dead.
Mm-hmm. No, Siri, I think your question is apt, and we have a problem as a country.
Serious problem.
Before I came in here, I was listening to somebody who works with VM Media. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, sorry for his loss, his house got gutted with fire.
Fire?
Yep.
Wow.
And almost everything was gone. Sorry, we sympathize with with his situation. But the blame was also saying electricity going on and off, going on and off.
Exactly.
That was not, we have not investigated anything yet. But see, what he was complaining, he said his lamp holder that was right on top of his bed was the one that, blew off and dropped on his bed, and the whole house caught fire. That comes to the issue of substandard materials.
I'm not laughing at what happened.
Okay?
But
yes. So, see, but then if we said on and off, somebody would just jump and said, Nawek.
Nawek.
But you see, man didn't call a man for drone. Near Total City Songla, you have to also do some business with the snakes. Yeah? If you tie a frog on your leg and you move in the midst of where you have snakes, of course you are inviting the snakes to come. Nawek's business is to provide electricity and water, obviously. So if something goes wrong, people just jump and said, Nawek. But still, we have to fix this problem. It's a serious business.
You see,
look, let me just give another example. Yeah. You remember the market fire incidents that always occur?
Yes.
Serakunda was number 1 in the past. But each time it happened, somebody said electricity, Nawek, this. There was one fire incident that occurred. It occurred where those selling second-hand clothes, and they had no electricity in the area. So when we came there, I said, now tell us where there is even single wiring around here. So how did the fire come out? But anything that happens here, you blame it on NAWEC. These are things that happen even in the markets. You go there, 1 meter is here, people just come and connect their wires from one distance to almost about 200, 300 within the same market to serve other people, and they keep collecting money from them.
And that's common across all the markets.
And this is happening
many a times, Ali, forgive me here, many a times, the NAWEC as a company has got so many trainees. I want to come to this.
Say that.
You have so many apprentices.
Yes.
I love apprenticing. If you go all over the world, apprentices have always helped. And I am one person who likes to see young ones given skills. But you got to regulate these boys or these young men and women. You have, I had, NAWEC visit a couple of times. I will see one guy, the rest are all apprentices. And the next minute, they are the ones calling me, Manyo Koto, Profixer Lasapala, Manyo Uncle, Profixer.
That's a hard fact.
What I'm saying,
Yes.
let me say this for public information. You have all these boys who are, camping at your head office, and they go out with, anybody they go out with in another truck. The next minute, somebody will just see them, around.
And say it's a NAWEC employee.
And they will be called to say, Brekama Market, man, that will not feel winning. Or, run this field for me. And they're not qualified. It's either you stop these boys coming to your side, or by association is NAWEC. Legally, I see them in NAWEC pickups. They are your staff. They are, by association, belongs to you. And they are the ones going out, doing all these things. And at the end of the day, people have to point finger at you. So you've got to do something about it.
You are absolutely right. Officially, we don't accept apprentices as such. What we do, we provide internship for those going to school, for example. Mostly those coming from GTTI, the chairman training schools and the like. During the summer break, they come to NAWEC. Officially, they write, and we provide internship for them. Unfortunately, the Gambian syndrome, the Maslaha thing, we have stopped this issue of apprenticeship, even suspending some of the supervisors who were allowing some of these apprentices in their vehicles. But see, unfortunately, sometimes these apprentices are either nephews or something of their own, the supervisor here and there. Some of these issues happen. We stop it. Sometimes we don't even allow them to come to our premises. What they do is they wait for them outside. The moment they leave our premises, you can see some of them in those vehicles.
So is that a leadership problem then?
Well, I don't say leadership problem, but I think we still have some lapses that we need to fix. It is not right. And you are very right, Siri, that some of these things that have been done outside are done by some of those apprentices. They don't have the right skills. They are not yet qualified. But not only those that are working, doing those apprenticeships in NAWEC, there are still so-called qualified electricians, so-called not certificated.
CD call them
They're
cowboys.
everywhere. Or I call them mango tree kind of electricians. They just sit on the mango trees waiting for those things to happen.
Justice to the apprentices. Justice to those boys. Some of them are very hardworking. They need skills. But your supervisors as well are the ones who will take contract and send the boys to go and do it. I have done.
Well, that is not officially known to me. Sorry.
I can provide it to you. I can provide it to you. I can give you names of supervisors.
I am not denying it, but I just cannot just confirm it.
You cannot confirm. When I can confirm it, I can give you names of your supervisors who have sent boys. I'm into construction.
Okay.
Who have sent boys to come to me to do some work, and I send them away.
I hope it's not NAWEC work. It's your private work.
It's my private work.
Okay, fine. So that's not a subject for us to discuss.
Let's now move to much more serious issues. I mean, I hope just this issue is addressed as soon as possible because it's a concern. Let's now look at the issue of the access to electricity. Sometime last year, you were at the National Assembly where you appeared and you said, I mean, there's a plan to ensure that 695 communities are electrified by 2023. How far with those projects? You said NAWEC was implementing about 4 projects to ensure this achieved by 2023?
I didn't know you are following me that much, huh?
We follow you.
And in fact, in your breakdown, you said, I mean, 92 communities will be covered in the West Coast region, 185 in North Bank region, 64 in Lower River region, 179 in Central River region, and 165 in the Upper River region.
Let me give you an update.
Yes.
This is still ongoing. As we speak, we have already signed for over 400 communities already. We have signed 2 contracts. That is one we call EcoRIP. Yeah. This contract is with KEI.
That's the Indian company.
That's the Indian company. Over 400 communities are going to be covered, and this will be from West Coast all the way to CRR, North and South, and also part of LRR, and also North Bank.
See, you had it?
Yeah.
LRR,
yeah.
Jara.
Yeah. So those communities are going to be covered. That contract is already signed, and as we speak, we have the contractor on the ground. They will soon go out to do the detailed design, and in fact, detailed survey. We are very optimistic that this will start very soon. In the next few days or so, we will officially launch. We'll publicize the city. We'll make sure people are aware that electricity is coming to their communities. Good. And we have also signed another contract, which was already officially launched by the president. This is the Lamenkoto.
Yeah.
That also is at an advanced stage right now. The contractor is currently at an advanced stage of the procurement. So we are very optimistic that those communities definitely will have electricity come end 2023. We have also floated a tender for the, we have already received submissions and evaluated, and we have sent our report to the bank for additional 233 communities to cover North Bank and also to URR North and South. We have launched a tender, which was just open. The bids were submitted just last week, Monday, I guess Monday or Tuesday. No, I think it was Wednesday.
Okay.
We have received those bids. Currently, they are going to be evaluated, and that is going to also cover about 133 communities from North Bank, LRR, and West Coast region.
Thank you.
So
just hold on there. Let's go for a break, and then when we come back, because this is a very interesting city. Huh?
There's a lot we need to cover.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Well, viewers, you remember that you're still watching QTV. This is your weekly State of Affairs program here on QTV. I'm your host, Aliou Cissé, and we are broadcasting from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue, just right behind the Qs and Mill building. I am Aliou Cissé. We'll go for a short break, and we'll be back soon.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and Ria just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from Ria directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello viewers, welcome back from that short break. You're still watching QTV. This is your weekly State of Affairs program here on QTV. I am Aliou Cissé with my co-host Sidi Cissé, and our guest this week is the Managing Director of the National Water and Electricity Company, Nane Juara. You talk about these projects that will be implemented to cover about over 600 communities.
Let me update for you. It's over 700 communities.
Over 700 communities.
We made some savings through the tender process.
Okay.
Balance of funds that are there.
Okay.
We are now identify more communities to be added into those projects. So
how do you identify which community benefits from this electricity, from these projects?
We are not discriminatory. Okay, we know our electrification level countrywide is very low, particularly in the rural areas. All the communities need electricity, and they need it now. So we are not discriminating. What we have done is to look at the entire country, because our objective is to achieve universal access by 2025. So depending on the budget that we have, we identify most of the larger communities, or what's called settlements, first in. But what we have realized that some of the larger settlements have smaller villages around them. So instead of calling them villages now, in our contract what we sign is communities. Because there are some big settlements where you have just about less than a kilometer. You have some of the smaller settlements. All what you need is just to run the, what is called the line. They can even share the same transformer, and you supply them as well. So we are calling them communities. So we are not discriminating. We are looking at everybody, and we want to achieve universal access by 2025.
Thank you very much.
How far is the issue of the compensation? I understand it is something that was a challenge for you.
Yeah. The issue of
land
compensation,
yeah.
We still have some challenges in that, particularly when it comes to the transmission line. Yeah. We still have some of the affected parties that are yet to be compensated, but we are able to arrange land-to-land compensation. We have secured some land from the AMRC through the government to compensate some of those affected parties. Others have opted for financial, compensation, which we have done mostly for the solar project affected parties. Okay. That's done already. And for some of the projects that we are also going to implement, like the EcoRip, the Jam Barbon Force One, which is the Diabugo Lamenkoto, all those people have been compensated already.
Thank you very much, Mr. Juara. Yeah. I feel like I'm not safe to drink water in the Gambia, even bottled waters, except natural.
Yeah, by the way, you're right. You're right.
I'm listening.
Yes. There's so many pipes that belongs to Norway that are exposed all over. And there's so many leakage all over. Right now, if I take you to Willingara, Nemakunku, Bundung Kakunda, Bruford. Bruford, sometimes I think I have a swimming pool to swim in. Before
in all those gullies, huh?
Yeah.
In the gullies.
I mean, whether you call it gullies or...
No, Siri, just help me.
In the middle of the road.
No. Siri, just help me. Where you have seen that erosion has really impacted in those areas.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, Siri, if you go to Sinthu, you go to Welingara, and areas that you are talking about, Bruford as well, you go there, your roads are not fixed, Siri. Your roads are not fixed. So the issue is, we have a problem, to be honest with you. We still have some of the areas that are not even affected by erosion because probably, as I said, as you said earlier, that some of the works that have been done are not done to standard. Yes. That's a hard fact. But the most affected areas are areas where we are experiencing huge erosion, especially areas in Lameng.
Mr. Juara, planning has to take place. When you should know these areas...
It's prone to erosion.
Yes.
There is a limit that we can also go because these are pipes that you are also supposed to connect households to. The depth at which you can go, there must be a limit, City. You cannot also because.
What about the qualities of the pipe? You and I, are old enough to see the days of GVC. Hardly I would see anything like that. And in those days, rain was heavy as well. So you cannot tell me, because of erosion now.
The urbanization now and then is different.
Maybe the quality of job that was done then and now is different. That's what I believe.
It could be different. I'm not here to be defensive, City. I'll never be defensive. Okay. I am somebody who is a realistic.
No, because it doesn't help to come and be defensive.
No,
there are things that we just have to be realistic.
You cannot deny them.
It's so rampant. No, City. That water leakage and exposed pipes are all over the place.
See, for as at now, most of the quality issues have been addressed by all. We have a standard that we accept in terms of providing the right pipe size and the right quality of pipes that we need. One thing I can assure you is that the quality of pipes that we are now bringing in are up to standard. Now, the GUC pipes they are talking about and the inferior quality pipes that we are all talking about or inferior materials that are coming into the country, it's a general problem. And this has been happening not even only now, even in the past it has been happening. But why we have this major post pipes happening in some of these areas is because the places are affected by erosion. People have now settled on waterways. And water must have a way to pass. So if you look at the Ibotan areas now, all those Talinding areas, you go to the New Joseon areas, these are swampy areas, for example. People are settled all over. Where would the water move and pass? It has to go through areas that it can easily have access. And this is what is happening. The roads are now being washed off. And this is where our pipes are. So if you go to some area, I went to Lameng, at the height of my knee, you have all these things the earth has been eroded off. So even if you go deep about a meter or two, the water is still on an annual basis removing everything. So what we can do is here in our country, we don't have drainage systems. See, that's the highway. Your highways don't have any drainage system. Is that not the
Our highways, yes.
So we don't have it. Our highways, there are no drainage system. Even the roads that we are fixing for the secondary roads, we don't put drainage facilities for them. So where would the water pass?
Are you guys been, we
are doing that. We are talking with NRA.
Stakeholders and all these things. How collaborative are you
We
guys?
Are talking...
in terms with physical planning, with the land section division.
What we have started doing now, for the fact that some of those secondary roads are on the responsibility of NRA, we've started talking to NRA to see how we can collaborate for them to fix some of those affected areas. Even if we are going to also come in a small way to support their initiative, because we don't want to take road construction as part of our primary responsibility. It is not.
It's not.
But we have our pipes there that needs to be protected. So we will collaborate with them and see how we can also come in and support them to make sure those areas that are seriously affected are also being taken care of. See, it's a problem. When I see these leakages all over the street, it's really...
And fire service will complain they don't have water. NAWEC is also been blamed for that. What's going on?
They don't have water in what sense?
I mean, where do they get water from?
From our pipes.
Where?
They have various hydrants located everywhere.
Where is it now? You put hydrants in Jabang, in the estate. None of those hydrants can work for fire service. That's what they said. And fire service came here and said you had no consultation with them.
Point of correction. Jabang Estate is not NAWEC's estate. It's Social Security's estate.
So who put the hydrants there?
All the it was given to a contractor, not NAWEC.
Not NAWEC.
Just
okay.
point of
And now I want to know, at NAWEC, do you have any call center where if you have any complaint of sort of this, of course, these burst pipes and all, you can call and you can quickly react?
Yeah, 169.
169. Yeah. How effective is that?
It is effective. We have received a number of commendations from some customers that they were surprised that they call and somebody picked. Don't be surprised also you call, nobody picks. It can happen.
The OIC project, quickly. I mean, we
know
the
because
road
please, summarize your question because you have to go on
the OIC,
on other...
The OIC project,
yes.
the OIC project on the road expansion. There are a lot of infrastructure work that needs to take place. I want to know how the project is going to affect NAWEC.
No, it's going to affect NAWEC, but it's been taken care of by the contractor. There's a provision where they will have to relocate some of those lines. So currently we have had a series of meetings with them and we have agreed on how to go about that. They are not just going to bring the lines down, no, but they are going to construct new lines and then transfer our network, kind of. So, but that has to happen first before the rail road works can go ahead. Because you see how crisscrossing our lines are all over? So this has to happen first. So the contractor is, fully in charge of that, not NAWEC, but we'll also do some components, which are also mainly the LV, power lines to be transferred. But for the medium voltage, the contractor is definitely handling that aspect.
I know our viewers won't forgive us if we don't really talk about this issue. The recent power outage in the country, people are complaining about lack of water. Nani, why?
Thank you.
How do you explain this?
No, it's not a difficult thing to explain.
Really?
Yeah, because what is happening is...
But it's difficult for people to understand.
It's difficult for people to understand, but you ask for explanation, so I want to explain.
Good, try. I hope you are able to convince our viewers.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I will be able to convince, but I will do my best to really explain the situation. And that is, we have higher demand than the available supply. That's the hard fact. From 2017 to date, it's no secret to anybody in this country that there is really serious urbanization going on here. Our roads, if you go to the traffic today, it's a shining example to see that there is real urbanization. So if you look at it, there is no way we could have planned for this. We are all caught by surprise that we can move this fast with the level of construction that is going on. People are moving everywhere, settling all over. And the demand on the service has gone up unexpectedly. So we have been kind of overwhelmed with the increase in demand. We had projects that we thought probably upon completion would have sorted out most of the problems that we have in water, particularly the Indian project, where we have drilled some number of boreholes. We have increased the treatment, the storage facility at our treatment plant in Sokoto. At the same time also, we have increased access to many places that were not initially covered before. But then the target was, the main objective of that project was to make sure that we replace the asbestos pipes and also to sort out the water problem that was also in Kanifing. Kanifing used to have a lot of water challenges, and also Fajara. At least we can say for certain those two places have been sorted out. But with that also, we have seen an increase in demand in other areas. For example, Brusubi, when we initially moved in 2004, our main problem was pressure. We have to call NAWEC all the time to say that, can you please reduce the water pressure? Today, that's not the case. We go sometimes the whole day without water at all, simply because we have the willing combers that have also come in. We have the tranquils that have also come in. We have the Brufut that has already, developed to an extent that nobody was, expecting. So all those people are depending on the same water supply that we have already, we have in place. Nonetheless, the business that we are in is not a cheap business. It's very expensive. It's capital intensive. We need a lot of money, City, to invest in this sector. And this has not been forthcoming. And now, unfortunately, from our own budget, there's no way we can do some of those capital investments to meet the demand of our people.
And just I mean, in 2017 and 2018, I mean, you signed a deal with Senelec. Yep. I mean, you also signed a rental deal with Car Power. And according to the former managing director of NAWEC, Baba Fatajo, he said, I mean, at the time in 2018, you were paying $3 million per month to Senelec.
Yeah.
Can't you use this money to improve what you have at NAWEC?
It's difficult unless you are in it. With all generators, you want to continue operating them. It's no different from your old car.
But I mean, the idea was to use this Senelec and Car Power temporary measure while you work on the generators. But it seems since you signed these contracts with these people,
and
I mean,
who said so that we do that to work on the generators? We are doing that to go and look for a cheaper source of energy to meet the demand of our people. And one good example of that is the OMVG. That's why government invested heavily on that as a member country to make sure, look, investing in generators, people are now moving away from that. We are looking for other alternatives. That's why we are going in for 20 megawatt solar plant. And we are working with the West African Power Pool to have a regional solar plant in this country, around Jara Soman, up to a capacity of about 150 megawatts to be installed in this country, so that other countries can also take power from us. I think what we are trying to, for people to understand about the energy business, is not to look inward only. Your best interest is to make sure there is access, and what is also available also is to be affordable. So what we are doing is to collaborate. We don't want that isolated attitude to say that, my country, no. And we are also fully aware that we also have to take care of our local capacity needs, at least to have a minimum capacity available in this country for security needs. We know that. But look, even countries that are at war are trading in electricity. People that are adversaries, for example, Algeria and Morocco, for example. These people, they are not best of friends, but yet still they are trading in electricity. If you go to Togo, they are getting most of their energy needs from Ghana. You go to Benin, they are getting most of their energy needs from Ghana. Nigeria, where there is a lot of blackouts every day, people have their standby generators all over. They are supplying power to those countries. Because they have sufficient generation capacity in place, but because they cannot distribute the power. It's there. They have thousands of megawatts of electricity capacity lying idle there. They are better off selling to those countries because they are very sure selling to those countries they are going to get their dollar. At least they'll pay. But you sell that electricity in Nigeria, you will not get your dollar. And eventually,
yes,
the electricity company, will collapse.
How do you react to those who suggest that it is high time we separate water and the electricity division and perhaps even privatize NAWEC? How do you react to that as a current MD?
Okay. You see, planning is important, Mr. Cisse. NAWEC has already taken those steps already because it's part of our reform agenda to make sure we see electricity as a separate business unit and water as a separate business unit. Not only me, if you talk to any managing director, previous and now, that Nani as the managing director, our preference would have been reduce the load on me because these are two essential services. Even if you are doing very well on the electricity, if problems at water are not sorted out, you still undergo the same pressure all throughout the day. Every day, same problem. But if there is separate management for each of these services, probably the focuses can be different. Because now I have to split my focus on both to make sure both sectors move at the same time. And that's putting a lot of pressure on any management for that matter. We are aware of this, and we think it's a good idea that in the future, these two services need to be separated. And the first step that we are taking now is to separate the business units and separate the accounts. We have started doing that. We have already implemented a new IMS system, which is an integrated management system. And now we have seen these two businesses as two separate businesses, first to be able to separate their accounts, to give us at least some visibility, to know exactly if you separate them, what is going to be the impact of each of those. So we are doing that right now. We have not taken any definitive decision as to when, but be pretty sure that it's government's policy direction for these two services to be separated.
As we speak, how much are you paying to Senelec and Car Powership?
Well, I cannot tell you for Senelec because now we have increased our intake from them. I cannot, but you are right.
In 2018, your MD said
it should be more now because for the fact that we have now interconnected at the buses and URR and CRR as well, that amount will go up, obviously. But the question you ask yourself, are you better off with that?
I know the people of Basse don't care how much you pay. Well, as long as they're getting that 24 hours, something like that, fine.
But see, the issue is, it's not about how much you pay out there.
Yeah.
We understand. We are not also novice in this business. We will not agree with Senelec to pay them anything that we think is not sustainable. Okay. That we will not do. This is a very transparent market. Okay? Whatever is happening at your back door, you know. We are all members of the same association, members of the same organization. So whatever we do, there's a benchmark. There's a minimum that you can accept for certain things. And be rest assured that what we are getting from Senelec is far better. You know, you don't look at only at the monetary side. Look at the other opportunity costs. If there is no Senelec, there will be no power supply in Basse.
Quickly, Mr. Joanna.
The pressure that will come to you and to somebody else will be different.
Okay, I want to move to my final question, the sewage treatment. Mm-hmm. I understand at some point NAWEC was involved and you have outsourced it to another company.
Yeah.
They are not doing good, are they? And I'm sure you know that.
And the good news is we have terminated their contract.
No. I mean,
okay. That's why I said my final question.
Thank you. Just finally. Mm-hmm. You talk about how good, I mean, this deal is, I mean, with Senelec. I mean, they're providing good service. But how long should we depend on Senelec to provide us electricity? This is an independent country.
You know what?
There are certain things that you cannot interdepend on a foreign country, energy and security.
I hope you were listening, Mr. Cisse.
Yes.
When I started mentioning about interdependency, we are not dependent on anybody. Okay. There is no dependency. There is always interdependency. In Europe, this is what is happening. In Asia, this is what is happening. Countries are trading. Yeah. Then we should just scrap ECOWAS and tell them that we don't need this organization simply because people are not willing to give them give up their national pride in the interest of everyone. So if that is the case, ECOWAS should be scrapped. These institutions we are not set up for the sake of just setting them up. They were set up for a purpose. So we must all, you and everybody, must be able to
right now is getting gas from
Russia, whether they like it or not.
Well, Nani, come on. Nani, finally, your message to the viewers. I mean, some people are really, not happy with NAWEC. What message do you have for them?
Final message is just to apologize sincerely that NAWEC, as a utility provider, has been struggling over the years to be able to meet your expectations, but be rest assured that we are almost there. We are not counting months for you or weeks. We have done it in the rural areas. Be rest assured that it will be done here as well. Inshallah. And this will happen, City. You'll enjoy 24 hours very soon.
Thank you very much. Well, that's the words of Nani Juara, the Managing Director of the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC. Well, viewers, with that, we come to the end of this program. This is your weekly State of Affairs program. It's aired every Tuesday at 9 p.m. and repeated on Sunday at 10 a.m. On behalf of my co-host, Sidi Cisse, and our guest, Nani Juara, we thank you so much for watching. Do join us next week. Until then, bye-bye.